Good evening, America. Monday, July 27th, 09. Glimmers of hope, grass shoots, mustard seeds, all catchphrases in press conference sound bites and answers given by the Omen and the minions in the media. Housing statistics, sales making upward trends. This is to be decoded as good sign, a leading economic indicator, which means it comes first in the rising up of the economy. It's one of the first upward ticks to take place. Obama's economic czars, Peter Orszag and Austin Goolsbee and Ben Bernanke, who is one of the Omen. He's there in the White House with him every day. No Fed chairman has ever done that. It requires some special attention. It gets in such dire straits that the Federal Reserve chairman has to be right in the White House. In other words, every civilian bank is becoming part of the government. It's just being laid out naked like a bunch of virgins to the King Bee himself. This good news of an uptick in housing sales was reported a mere 3 days before the Omen invited all the big bankers to the White House to get a good thrashing. I mean, have a sit down, coffee, tea, cigars. It's interesting to note that if one listens and watches and reads enough, all these economic reports of any given time period will not only not corroborate with each other, they will actually contradict each other. On one channel you hear about how housing sales are down, and then on the other one you'll hear how they're up, one day or two at a time apart, maybe even on the same day, and it's very hard to disseminate and discern the degree of truth and who's telling the truth and who's lying. And it comes at you so fast. You'll hear a statistic that it's up one day, and then a month later on a different network you'll hear that back then it was down from where it is now, as related to a year ago when it was up, when a year ago they were telling you it was down. It's really strange, so hard to figure out what the truth is. Are they lying to you intentionally, or are they not knowing? Are they just saying whatever they're told to say on camera to keep their job? There's probably a little of all of that in the mix. You know, is this the result of some well-placed phone call to the news from some highly situated official of the king himself, His Majesty, His Excellency, His Handsomeness, the Emperor, warning that the news is too glum? So provide people with just a twinkling of hope for the future, and so we can take power even farther and make it all better one day. Is it that they're painting much too rosy a picture to make up for the much too glum picture they were already painting before the Omen came into power? And they don't want people to project too much irrational exuberance, to coin a phrase. So just tone it down a little bit, guys, because we don't want anything good to happen just yet. We have to wait till next year's campaign season to make it look like we're doing everything right. Just make sure to blame him, okay, George W. Bush, if things possibly get worse. Don't worry, Bunky, they're going to get worse. Obama's going to make sure they do. Obama needs us all to be in deep, dark depression and excessive misery during these months before 2010 and the election campaign season, possibly to be cranked up a notch towards the negative, painful side of life, until such time as the Omen owns Wall Street. Remember his quote, "We cannot return to the old ways of doing business." If any aspect of the free market turned around right now, his agenda and his theory and his ideology, his dogma, teleprompter even, there would be blown full of holes. Laissez-faire, quote-unquote, trickle-down, supply side, all the negative-sounding labels attached by liberals in the media and politics and Democrats to the physics, which have always and ultimately always will govern the survival of the fittest, and where the not-so-fit stand the best chance for survival too. employees of the physics. All these physics would be proven and affirmed, and nobody would need him. He himself, master of all he surveys. Da 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 da. He will simply have to operate within the capitalist principles in order for his plan to work. The success of the automakers and the insurance and the healthcare and all the green economy bullshit he wants to develop, all the while reprimanding and fining and penalizing and generally overwhelming everyone else outside the governmental favored realms and sectors of industry and economy into the dirt and dust. Therefore, he simply cannot, at this time, have any real positive, or many real positive reports in the economy gathering steam and building up hope. Not just yet, until the teleprompter has fully implemented change. And we have cap and trade, and we have healthcare reform. And then we have to get into 2010 election campaign season and start spending the TARP money and stimulus money. That's when you see the bills signed by Timothy Geithner. That's when they'll hit the street. I'd advise you to wipe your ass with those. Governments run healthcare, big labor in place in all or most businesses, getting Rush Limbaugh and other people off the AM radio, the only form of media that ever has any criticism of Obama at all. Maybe Fox News every now and then has a Republican host, okay, or a conservative host that says something not right about Obama, and then, you know, that only lasts a day or two, and then they are forced to give up by whoever runs Fox. NBC, owned by GE, also Jeffrey Emmel, CEO of that, situated in the White House every day with the king himself, seated at his right hand, catching the aura from his halo, whispering sweet stories of gigantic windmills producing power in the ear of the emperor who has no clothes, and constructing the smart grid for him, and constructing the healthcare database through the GE Healthy Imaginations program, and constructing hybrid run diesel electric trains which will power our future mass transit system once we all lose our cars, and General Electric is gutted, and Chrysler are gutted once and for all, raped by the unions and sacked and plundered and looted, and they're just a bunch of big giant empty buildings in Flint, Michigan, and wherever else the fuck they are. And the unions have made off with all of their money that they're going to get out of them. And when that day comes, the omen will have his fingers on all the light switches and all the thermostats and all the computers of all the houses and buildings and offices of America. And he will show you just how great everything has become. Thank you for your mandatory volunteerism and your skin in the game and sacrifice and making tough decisions, and for agreeing to hand in your personal firearms, indeed your entire life, to him. Question, if during the 90s Hillary's healthcare plan was estimated that the government would control 1/7 of the U.S. economy, then how much of a fraction of the total U.S. economy could be estimated that the virtual takeover by the Obama administration of General Motors and Chrysler? How big a percent of the economy would that be? After all the dominoes fall that are connected to those companies that support it, all the private and commercial property that are manifested in all of the people that work for all of those companies, how much of the economy has been taken over by the omen already, that may be destroyed by it? Moreover, once the chain reaction ripple effect of all these dominoes falling around and away from General Motors and Chrysler, going around the country, around the world, every business and industry that supports the automakers, when it falls, how much more difficult will it be for the government to financially support and maintain all of this? Of course, it will own all the commercial property, and if it owns the banks that are foreclosing on the private property of all the employees of all these companies, the government will own that too. So how do you like this change so far, monkey? Have a great day.